you're part of it. Yeah, we are too. Yeah, we are very
If we have it in capital letters, therefore we are.
bold letters.
Sorry, bold letters.
Yes.
I've got pictures.
Yeah, you might be young, but we're not, you see, so they're like...
Yeah, we're all young together.
We're all young at heart, aren't we?
Okay, what else?
I thought it was like really innovative. It's a really like unique idea, and the way it's been presented as well, with all them put around the room. It's not like you're presenting it; it's like a museum.
Well, I mean, we did feel that you had to interact with it because it was everyone's own interpretation. So for you to go off and read it, because then if I'm reading it, I'm reading it in my own pace, and the way I read it is I have a pace to it, which is in my mind, but everyone else is reading it in their own mind. So there's a pace to the writing, and it's really unique to each person.
It's a kind of solitary thing as well, isn't it? So, did all of you spend some time in the open space over the last 3 weeks for the Words of Play exhibition? Yeah, some of you did for you, some of you. So we've had a whole exhibition of creative writing practice kind of brought off the page, if you like. So a lot of it is, well, it's kind of blown up, made big, so it kind of behaves differently than, just looking through a book of poetry, or it's, evolving into installation work, or it's audio. So a whole kind of collection of different ways of bringing writing off the page, offering different kinds of encounter with the written word. So it's a shame that you writers didn't see that.
Well, I would hope that, and you were all asked to go and see it. Did you see it, Alex?
No, I didn't know.
Good God. That's 3 weeks.
It's, there were some foundation year students who actually, I can't think who it is now, who's got involved in Poetry in Motion. And I know that they were involved. Sorry?
Holly.
It was Holly, yes, it was Holly, quite right, it was Holly. And it's a huge opportunity.
Yeah,
So
I wanted to. I found out about it afterwards somehow because I hadn't got the email.
I did raise it very early on and give you the dates on which it was running.
I tell you what, always, you must go through that contemporary arts building for one thing or another. Maybe you're not having a lot of your lessons down there at the moment, probably not, but there's always something really interesting in the open space, and now we actually have what we've got is video work, which kind of comes out of performance work. So there's a whole range of different kind of video work there, and there are some sort of issue-based videos there, but it's mainly about theatre practitioners, contemporary theatre practitioners, making video, either as emotional tools or kind of extending some of their creative thinking into different forms. So go and have a look at it because it's all about documentation as well, and documentation is really important. So definitely get down to the open space and spend a lot of time down there looking at all of the different things that we've got up for you.
So, can I just, sorry Jane?
It's fine.
So can I ask Alex, this collection in here, is this a contribution from everyone?
Well, when creating it, we all discussed ideas, but creating the first 2 were Holly's and the other 5 were mine.
Right.
But idea-wise, it's all everyone contributes to the ideas and the meaning, symbolism behind them, and themes.
You're not being overly generous here. Right.
So, so all of this is verbatim, yeah. So it's all stuff that so that there's none of your kind of the originality, if you like, is in the composition of found.
We didn't write any of that. The words were already presented to us, but we took away everything. It was all that's chronological order of the actual newspaper, but just with words missing or sentences or paragraphs missing, and just the way it's the form of the poem and the way it's written is all creation of us.
So did you identify words in an article, remove those words, and restructured them into
Yeah,
a poem?
but they're all still because it was all a challenge as well at the same time, 'cause they were chronologically ordered from the same as the article, so like they would appear in that order just was up in between normally.
So the order is the order in which they would have appeared in the actual text?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
right.
you set yourself certain rules.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is, okay, which is really interesting, that you set yourself rules and you have to stick to them. Okay.
I mean, it is interesting. I mean, there is sort of a whole movement around sort of latent poetry, and there are people that you know do it a lot. And I know that I think you refer to it as found poetry, don't you?
Yeah, but I think the idea I got is from blackout poetry.
Oh, okay.
I've been looking for the author of the book I saw, but yeah, it's just the whole book can be blacked out and poems each page. Yeah.
Okay, so I like the idea of that. So you've got a page, you know, in a book, and they've blacked out everything except the words that they
Yeah.
want you to see. Ah, okay.
What we need is
And that's
that
what-
evidence in here. I think,
Yeah.
you know, you've got to, when you are working like this, it's its form, it's its structure, it's its conceit, which are interesting. These things are interesting, possibly more than what you actually might come out
No, because
with.
we thought if we had displayed it as a newspaper article with most of it black and just a few words,
Yeah.
and then that would emphasise
I
the
think
fact
so.
that it would emphasise silence within the article.
Yeah.
You can't see what's
Yeah.
been written.
I think that's kind of what's missing a bit here. Yes, we've got the poems, but we haven't got how you did it, if you like. We can't see that visual.
I tried to scan in one of the newspapers, but the scanner, it was on a reel and it ripped it in half, which was very unfortunate. So I wasn't able to actually scan it in and then print it out because I wanted to scan it in before I could actually write on it in case mistakes and stuff. So I could just print
Right.
it in, but it ripped it in half.
But I mean, we're talking about possibly a future development,
Yeah.
aren't we? That's what we're talking about. I mean, I definitely think that, you know, as a first stage, you know, taking some rules and making sure you stick to them, and then developing work out of that is a very interesting idea. I think the work needs to be crafted a lot better. Clearly, you know, a lot of work needs to happen. This is like the kind of first stage. You know, you've chosen, you've selected, but now you need to go back to it and you need to craft it and craft it and craft it. And as you know, creative writing, you just have to keep on editing, don't you? Because these are very much in kind of poetic form. So you need to consider structure.
I think that there are issues to do with things like structure and sort of use of devices like enjambment and end stops and that kind of thing, and where you've put them so that the sense of the line isn't flowing over, but it should, because that's the way it would work best. And I think it's kind of like that rhythm and flow. You know, you're talking about people read it differently, and that's fine. But what did you intend? You know, when you set it up, did you want everybody to be able
Yeah, we
to?
intended for a unique experience in everyone because
Yeah.
it's like we're moving out of context, so it's everyone else puts their own context into it and their own thoughts behind each word and feeling and sentence.
But they will do that anyway.
Yeah.
They will do that anyway. I think you still have a you still need to be true to the crafting of the poem, and that sort of thing doesn't work. There's some really quite intelligent choice of words in here, and there's some that like really stand out, you know, nicely. I mean, the one we particularly pointed out was where you were talking about, you know, teamwork and community cohesion sweeten an individual's life, connect deeply to the world, new ways of seeing, new ways to be, Mozart and Tutu. Low-income children do not. It works really nicely because you kind of you're pointing at something that is becoming more and more sort of evident in today's society, that, you know, women are being, that their kids are being pushed into these little sort of pockets and made to do things that, I don't know. There's a whole long story behind all of that. But So yeah, there's some really nice choices of words, and we like the bit where you've got all these figures that are being quoted.
Yeah, I thought to put that there as like as a list, because in the end there are just statistics at that point
Yeah.
now, and it's just confronting everyone with the size of the issue there, and
Yeah.
it's just a list because you can't really escape it. There's no real poetic flow to that bit.
Yeah.
And then I thought I'd just get rid of the poetic flow there and just have a list, and then you can't help but just read these numbers of things being destroyed and everything. So
Yeah.
I'm just confronting the reader.
Can you go down in the break to the open space, down the corridor, you know, like from the box office, down the corridor. On the right-hand side, down at the bottom of the corridor, there is a poem that has been kind of laid onto the panel there, and that is all to do with numbers and lists. But she has actually constructed something around it. I think she was a second year student when she did it, so you know it's still kind of raw and a bit green, but it's starting to have some form and rhythm to it. You know, even though she is each line has a number in it, which resonates with the kind of Jenny Bunn. Yeah. Jenny Bunn. Yeah. So have a look at that. The other thing was
The titles. Yeah.
Oh, we left the original titles of the articles there.
I see.
Okay.
We chose
Okay.
the title. We didn't negotiate within the titles. We just used the original titles
Right.
just because that's the.
Okay, so again, I suppose
Leave
that's
them
a
with the
device, but we
article,
kind of
yeah.
need to know that it's a
Sorry.
device,
Yeah.
otherwise we just think, what a bloody title. Or how
Yeah.
literal.
And
I think that bit, it's even a bit like, because you read the title, and normally with the newspaper, the title would give you an idea of the whole article. But in here, we've sort of got rid of the article and the narrative of the article. So you've got the title, you've got an idea of what you're going to read, and then you have this, and maybe it's just a general thought of someone being isolated or something instead of just two people, instead of a story. But you have an initial idea going into it, and that's just sort of chatting or converting into a community.
I think you needed to have perhaps introduced that.
Yeah, I wanted to write an introduction page, or just to speak, but
Yeah. And the other thing that's needed in, with this kind of poetry is you need to cite your sources.
yeah.
Okay, so although yes, you're referencing the article times in here, at the bottom of these you needed to have said, where it came from, which newspaper, blah, 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 blah.
And the date.
And the date, yeah. So make sure you do that.
Because that's really significant, isn't it? If you think about, as a sort of historical archive of something, these are creative responses to the headlines at the time, and it gives us a sense of our history. So I think it's got great potential as a kind of fuller, kind of conceptual piece of work.
Great, thank you, Alex.
So